Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? I am super excited for this video because we're going to be playing with the new Sigma Untamed eyeshadow palette. I saw this color story and I was just so excited about it because it has a ton of pops of color while also just having like this grungy appeal to it, and it just seemed very unique to me, the perfect kind of transitioning to fall palette. And I bought the Sigma Quarter Rosa palette. I loved the formula of it, so I felt pretty hopeful that I would also enjoy this palette, and I decided to go ahead and play with it today. Normally for my first impressions, I go ahead and do some live swatches and then we try the palette and I'll give you my thoughts at the end. But I did actually have issues with my mic today where I turned it on, it wasn't on, so I filmed the live swatches without audio. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly throw up some swatches of the palette on screen just to save a little bit of time so you can see how they all swatch. I felt like the textures were all pretty soft, pretty creamy, pigmented, and I'm happy to report there were no issues with any of the swatches. I was super grateful because one of my subscribers, Leah, I saw her in one of my friends' live chats and she mentioned a discount code for this, which I believe is Honey35. So if you want to save 35% off on this palette, I believe the discount code is still valid, and I do have an affiliate code with Sigma, but I don't recommend using it because they always have way better codes than 10% off. Even if you just Google search Sigma promo codes, you will find something better. But I do have an affiliate link. If you feel like clicking it, it does help me out because I make a small commission if you make a purchase and it doesn't affect you at all. But anyways, let's just go ahead and jump on into the look. I already went ahead and primed my eyes with the Milani eyeshadow primer. I like using this for longevity. I've said this so much lately, but just to explain why I'm using two products. And then I throw on the Tarte Shape Tape for a little bit of coverage. So I was really torn on whether to go with the pinks or the greens in this palette for my look today because they both called to me so much, but I think I'm going to go ahead and do a mixture of both actually. So I'm going to start off with this shade Moxie just to see if it'll work in the crease because it does look a little bit satiny. Using that with a big fluffy blending brush, starting it off right through the crease. I mean, it's definitely got a little bit of a glow to it, but I don't think it looks bad necessarily. Alright, now I'm grabbing the brush and the palette. I feel like Sigma is the only brand that when they come out with a brush and a palette, I'm excited. This is the E38. I think that's the soft diffused. No, it's the diffused crease. I love this brush. I'm going to take the shade Instinct, which is a mauve. And I'm just going to put that a little bit lower down in my crease. Super pretty. Blending really easily right off the bat. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and dip into the shade Camouflage. Just taking a tiny little bit because it is a very deep green. And I'm going to go ahead and put that on my outer V. Then actually I'm going to go ahead and connect it to the lower lash line. Just with whatever's left over on the brush. So I'm just kind of placing that down in the outer V where I want it, and then I'll go back into... Did I use that brush before? No, I didn't. I'll go back into the previous brush and just lightly blend out the edge. I feel like the green over the pinks does just kind of look like a brownie black, so I think maybe if I were to do this look again, I would do the pinks and not bring it over into the outer V and then do the green so that they wouldn't mix as much. But I do think it's blending really nicely, but I really do want to kind of have that green pink pop, so I think I'm going to go ahead and take the shade Envy now. Just grabbing it on that same pencil brush because why not, and I'm going to pop that on the outer third of my lid. It's a really pretty kind of foiled green. Okay, so now I want to go ahead and take the shade Fierce and put that all over the lid, but when I swatched it, it does feel a little bit more like that's going to be like more of a sheer topper. So I think I'm going to start off with my NYX Glitter Primer just to give it a little bit more of a sticky base and see if we can get it nice and intense. I'm going to go ahead and pop that all over the front of my lid and just tapping that on. And the sparkles are so pretty, but it does look a little bit darker than it did in the palette. Alright, so that's a little bit darker than I originally imagined the look, but I do think it's really pretty. I got almost no fallout for that shimmer shade, which is really nice, especially because it is so sparkly. I expected there to be more, but I think I'm going to go ahead and grab some more of Camouflage now and just pop that close to the lower lash line. I think I'm going to do the entire lower lash line as a pop of green. And then I'm going to go ahead and dip into the shade Envy again and pop that onto the front of the lower lash line with that same smudging brush. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and take this shimmer right here called Spirit, and I'm gonna pop that on my inner corner. Has a really pretty sparkly texture to it, so I like that. For my waterline, I was literally just thinking how pretty a mauve liner would be, but I was like, I don't have any mauve eyeliners. And then I got the brilliant idea to just go ahead and pull out a lip liner and use it in my waterline. So I'm going to take this Gerard Cosmetics lip pencil in the shade Ecstasy. And then I'm going to throw on the We Make Up More mascara, and I'll be right back. Okay, so to finish up my face, I pulled out my Sigma blush in the shade Nymphaea. It's actually called an Aura powder, but it's just a pretty cool tone pink. I like this formula because I feel like it's not overly pigmented to where I have to be super careful with it, but you can definitely build it up. For highlighter, I'm going to take my favorite loose highlighter ever, which is the Sydney Grace Pink Lightning. It is so intense and just the prettiest pinky icy shade for fair skin, but they do have a bunch of color options in this formula. Lastly, for lips, I feel like I need a mauve. All right, I think I'm gonna go ahead and use that Gerard Cosmetics Ecstasy lip pencil again, and then I'm gonna go into the Necromancy Cosmetica lipstick in the shade Paper Flowers, which is kind of like that mauve-y, cool tone, grungy nude. I think it'll look pretty with this. I feel like that was the perfect combo. Alright, so this is the finished look, and I really love how it turned out. I feel like the eyes are so pretty, and this is definitely a combination that I have never done before with the mauves and the greens, and I'm just head over heels. I feel like it is so unique while also being extremely wearable and like toned down. I'm really happy with how it turned out and this combination, and I feel like this color story in general is just very inspiring and unique, and I look at it and I feel inspired to put colors together that I normally wouldn't, and I just really appreciate that in a palette because I feel like most of what Sigma has done so far has been more like picture perfect cookie cutter color stories where it's just like, oh yes, that perfectly flows together, totally makes sense, but this is just a little bit more like, like it makes you think. It's a little bit more fun. I feel like the formula is really nice. I felt like all of the mattes blended super easily, and then I also really liked all the shimmers that I used today. They've got really beautiful texture and pigmentation, and I just love the sparkles in this shade Fierce, and I think it turned out way different on the eyes than I originally thought it was going to be, but I feel like because that shade is a little bit more sheer, that you can layer that over other things in the palette, whether you layered it over the red or the blue and get a completely different look. I feel like this blue hair Dauntless, when I swatched it, it felt very satiny, and it was just a little bit lackluster, so I'm really curious to try that on the eyes and maybe spray it and see what I can do out of that one. That one was the only one I was kind of like, a little bit disappointed by just from swatching. So that's my thoughts so far. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.